On today's episode of Me, You, and Who, we are talking with Holly Smith. She's an escalation specialist at Progyny Inc., which is a fertility benefits management company. Holly entered the fertility world when she decided her senior year in college to be an egg donor. She has since gone on to do 6 cycles and is now a mom herself. We got to hear more about Blake, Holly's sweet son, who unfortunately passed away at 4 months old. We are so grateful to Holly and sharing her story, as well as words of encouragement for any parent who has experienced loss. So please enjoy our conversation with Holly. Me, you, and who? Who knew it would take more than 2 people to have a baby? In a world where infertility is no longer a taboo topic, this podcast will take you through all the different aspects of surrogacy and egg donation through the lens of many who walk this journey in different ways. My name is Whitney Hall, and I am a 2-time surrogate, now turned surrogacy coordinator for Egg Donor and Surrogate Solutions, the very agency I used when I chose to carry for 2 amazing families. With this podcast, it is our goal to help guide and support you as you learn about what it takes to grow a family in an alternative way, as well as hear inspiring and beautiful stories of how this path has changed lives forever. We can't wait for you to hear about just one more way happy families are created every day.
I really do appreciate it. It's so funny because I started at Egg Donor and Surrogate Solutions, I think maybe like a few months or a year after you had left. So you and I just kind of like missed each other. And I just kept hearing about, oh, Holly, she sounds wonderful. So I'm excited
Thank you.
to at least get to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Okay, so tell me about just how did egg donation even come into your world?
Yeah. So, being an egg donor, like my senior year of college, I was kind of just like, I want to do something like super meaningful with my life and like something that's going to be super impactful for someone else, at least like one other person. And I was going to school to work with children with autism. And so I knew like my career path would help me with that, but I wanted to do like something else, something additional. And that's when I kind of started like looking into that sort of stuff. My mom had spoke to me about how she was interested in egg donation whenever she was about my age, but
Oh, wow.
it wasn't like as well known back then. And
Sure.
and so she never went through with it. And so her and I just kind of got to talking about it, and I started doing my research on it. And we I just found I like was looking up reputable agencies, found Egg Donor Solutions, and started the process. And so I was very fortunate to get matched very quickly, and from there just took off. And so it was wonderful. I really My hopes to get matched were very low. I'm like, oh, this is probably like a 1 in a million shot to get matched. So I tried to keep my hopes low, but it happened so fast, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is really happening. This is so exciting. My boyfriend at the time, husband now, we had moved in together right after I graduated college. So, and we knew that we were going to be getting married and engaged soon and stuff. So I made sure that, he was supportive of my decision as well, which he was, his family was, my family was super supportive. So it all worked out so amazingly.
Oh my gosh. Okay, there's so much to unpack there because you're the first person that I've heard of where someone of like our previous generation knew about egg donation and was interested in it. And like, I now I just want to talk to your mom because I want to be like, oh my gosh, tell me because it was such a taboo topic, and I think
know,
it's
yeah.
still
She didn't have
kind
the
of
internet. Like she couldn't just like
right.
Google something. Yeah, I don't
Exactly. How
know.
did she know about egg donation?
I honestly am not sure. I'm not really sure. So I couldn't tell you, to be honest. She was a
Yeah.
young mom, so she had me when she was only like 21 or 22. So she was a very young mom, and so she was more with it, but I don't know how she found out about it.
That's so fascinating. So what was that conversation like between you two, and maybe just like how was she kind of so supportive watching you, have this dream come to fruition that was once hers?
Yeah. I think that I just like brought it up to her one day. I'm very open and very close with my family, and
Yeah.
I was just like, I want to do this. I want to be do something meaningful. Like, I'm not using these eggs right now. Like, there's so many families out there that could use them and have their children with them. And she was just like, that's amazing, Holly. Like, I wanted to do that whenever I was your age. I looked into it and never went through with it. And so, yeah, she was so happy and so supportive of that.
Oh,
Um, and she trusts me. She knows that I'm a very like diligent person. I research everything.
mhm.
I'm very like on top of my stuff. I wouldn't just do it just to do it. Like I have my
Yeah.
reasons behind it. And so they both her and my father were super trusting of that and like knew that I had done my due diligence to make sure that this is something that I would be a good fit for.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that helped too.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
So what was that research process like for you? I mean, we do have Google, thank goodness. But yeah, so what were kind of your checklists? What were you looking at? What made you want to do an agency versus maybe independent or,
With anything.
matching?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So, I think my process was whenever, because I did come across a lot of like places I was like, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. This sounds like really strange. I think I looked at like, do their websites look nice? Like, I
No,
would
that's
go
the
to
thing.
these like websites and be like, do they look like they've got their stuff together based on how their website looks? Because you can tell,
Yeah.
you can tell like how much effort people put into their I guess, like, internet face
Yeah.
versus, and so that was kind of like a first thing for me. I kinda narrowed the list down from there, and then from there, I went in and, like, looked up different forums that I found of people talking about different agencies, and then looked up, like, reviews online of different agencies and things like that, and I loved that, Egg Donor Solutions was, like, very more of, like, a smaller agency, I guess, and so, like, it was very one-on-one, very personalized. I knew I wanted to be matched with a family to do this. Like, I didn't want to just do the egg bank route. I
Mhm.
wanted to be like donating to a family that chose me to donate to them and go through that for them. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So ultimately, it was the family aspect of it was really super important to you.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
No, that makes a ton of sense. So what was your now how many times have you donated?
6.
6 times. Okay,
Yeah.
so what was that first time like?
Yeah. The first time was nerve-wracking. And I actually had my cycle canceled during meds because I wasn't responding to the stem meds like they had expected, but then we
Mhm.
restarted and it was great after that.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of like I didn't at the time understand a lot of what that meant and what was going on. It kind of worried me a little bit, but then like I mean, my coordinator took good care of me, kept me in the loop of everything. They're like, nope, we're just going to restart you on your next cycle. It's going to be fine. This can happen sometimes to first time donors, just because they don't know how your body's going to respond.
Sure.
And so we went through the second stem cycle and it was totally fine from there. We went through my retrieval. I did that cycle. I got to travel for all 6 of my cycles. So that was really cool.
That
So I did
is
that first cycle
cool.
in Memphis, which I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. So it's just a short little trip down there. But yeah, so it was nerve wracking, like I said, but I think that wasn't my favorite cycle, but it was a good like stepping stone cycle.
Sure. What was your favorite cycle?
Um, I think my San Diego cycle, I got to donate for a family in San Diego. That was definitely my favorite cycle, my favorite place to travel to. That is an open communication cycle. So me and that family are actually have communication. They we follow each other on Facebook, honestly, and we are able to, and that was like agreed upon between us, myself and them, and my
Yeah.
husband, and like all of us. And so they write letters to us, we write letters to them. And so I love that.
Oh, that's great. So
Yeah.
at what point, so your first cycle was a closed cycle or anonymous cycle,
Yeah. They all were
and
except for the
they
one.
all were except for the San Diego one?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Have you registered? Are you on the donor sibling registry?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, wow. Have you found out about any pregnancies from your cycles?
Not through that, just
Oh,
like
okay.
from reported um positive pregnancies from, and sometimes the parents will report like the sex of the baby or
Mhm.
positive live births from Cali, from the coordinator I had.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah.
that's so exciting.
Yeah. I'm
So
open to any communication they want to give me, and I'm totally comfortable with, their limits on that as
yeah,
the intended parents. So
yeah, absolutely.
mhm.
Absolutely. How has that been with your husband then boyfriend, he's going through this. Did anything, you did the one time and then was he like, okay, wait, we're doing this again? Like what was kind of those conversations like?
Yeah, it was just kind of like, well, I got matched the first time, and then whenever they called me for a second cycle, I was just like, okay, let's do it again. That was easy enough. And I told him, and he was just like, okay. I mean,
Okay.
he's kind of like with my parents, like he trusts me. He knows that like I'm gonna do my due diligence. He's super supportive and just very much like, you do you. I got your back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
which I think is super important for a donor to have that support or a support system like that. Because if you don't, then that makes a lot of conflict.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part about being a donor?
Oh my gosh, definitely well, with the family that I'm in communication with,
Yeah.
I love seeing their children's pictures. I
Oh,
think that that is so sweet. I love hearing about them, how they're growing up. I love all of that. Aside from that, and just like obviously the other families that had pregnancies as well and live births, traveling was one of the coolest parts. I got to go to a lot of places I wouldn't have normally just gone to. So
yeah.
that was a super amazing opportunity for me. My husband got to come with me. My parents came with me one time when my husband couldn't, and so that was really cool.
That is really cool.
Hmm.
Well, did at any point in time during your research and, did you ever worry about your own fertility?
No,
No. What made you so sure?
my research. So
My research.
yeah, I mean, I looked up, like peer-reviewed journals and things like that. And so I didn't
Yeah.
just like follow any sort of like random Google forum like I did like looked up like scientific evidence, evidence-based
Mhm.
practice that this does not affect your fertility. And also like they do the testing prior to make sure you would be a good candidate. And if you're not a good candidate, they're not going to let you move forward with it. Like if your fertility
Yeah.
is already maybe not wonderful or they might have some sort of concerns about your own future fertility, they won't let you move forward with it. And that was really comforting to know.
Yeah, that's definitely reassuring.
Yeah.
Well, so since then, so you had all 6 cycles. When was your last cycle? What year?
2019 or 18?
Okay.
2008, 19 or 8. No, 2018. 2018.
2018. Okay. Oh my gosh. So exciting. And since then, you've become a mama. How many babies do we have?
Yeah, I have 3 children. And I have my son Blake, he passed away at 4 months old. He had a very rare genetic abnormality. And then we've since had 2 daughters. And so we had
Oh,
3 children in less than 2.5 years, very quickly.
you are busy.
Yes, very busy. Yeah. So our my oldest daughter, Elena, she just turned 2, and my youngest daughter, Avery, is turning 1 in like 10 days.
Oh my goodness. You really are busy.
Hmm. Yep, very much so.
Can you tell us more about Blake and, how your family just celebrates him?
Oh yeah, yeah. We celebrate him a lot. He is not a taboo subject in our home. Um, so with Blake, and you would think like going through the egg donation cycle, you learn so much about yourself and like your own health, your genetics, so much. And
Yeah.
so like I was very, like no issues going into pregnancy. My pregnancy was beautiful with him, so easy, so wonderful. My birth and labor just a
Perfect.
breeze, like, perfect, yes, like, literally could not have gone out like, it just went off without a hitch, it was amazing. It wasn't until the next day we had found out that he had some bruising on his body, they thought because of such a quick delivery, but then we, tested his blood and saw some abnormalities kinda going on in there. The disease that he had, they tested my husband and I for it, neither of us carry it. It was something that just, like, randomly mutated within Blake. And so it's called an autosomal dominant gene is how the spontaneous mutation, that's what it's called. And so, because it was not nothing that, or not anything that we had to report back actually to intended parents about that I had
Sure.
donated for. And because it was such a rare spontaneous thing, it wasn't something that I gave him or my husband gave him. Um, so he passed at 4 months old in 4 days. And he fought super hard. We were very fortunate that he was able to come home during some of his life. We celebrate him all the time. We're constantly doing things. I mean, if you walk through my home, you'll see his pictures everywhere. There's all of his pictures over here, on our shelves and behind me. I mean, you would not know that he's not physically here with us. For his birthday, we always have family over. We do like a big family dinner. We go out to the cemetery almost every week, about every other week or so at least. Now with daughters, it's a little bit more like every other week with
Sure.
how little they are right now. But they know him. My daughter, Elena, she'll point to his pictures and say, Bubba, love you, Bubba. And it's just so sweet. And we collect a lot of things to donate to the hospital every year on his birthday. So we'll donate to the hospital that took care of him. And we donate things that we saw that they needed while we were there. So we would see like they needed more baby toys, more baby clothes to help with parents, things like that. And so throughout the year, we buy those things or have other people that we know that are wanting to join in on us doing this, buy those things, give to us. And every year on his birthday, we take a whole carload of that stuff up to the hospital and donate.
Oh,
So that's kind of how we celebrate him on his birthday, which I think is super special. I have my best friend who was also one of his nurses in the hospital as he was um, being taken care of there. She every year on his birthday goes and donates platelets, which is a big thing. He had to get platelets all the time when he was in the hospital, because that was kind of what started everything. His platelet disorder or his platelet levels were extremely low, and that's why his bruising was really bad. And so every year she goes and donates platelets in honor of him. We do a lot for him. So his angel anniversary is coming up here soon on the 7th of April. That day's a little bit harder to get up and going and doing things right now, but we're hopeful in the future to make that day a little bit more of a celebration of him as well. It's just a little hard and heavy still at the moment.
yeah, absolutely. What, as you were going through it, just as a parent, what was comforting for you during that time?
Hmm, I don't, it was very
What?
difficult.
Maybe nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, not much. I mean, it was comforting just to be able, because this was also when COVID was starting
Oh
in
gosh.
March, yeah, March of 2020. And so they kicked out our families. Only my husband and I could be at the hospital. We had to fight for even two of us and not just one of us to be able to stay there. So the only time our family got to come up was the end of life, the day that he was passing away. So we had a hard time being comforted. Honestly, what was comforting was the team taking care of him. His nurses and doctors were amazing. We owe them so much, I feel like. And we're still in contact with them. We are friends with them on Facebook. They will reach out to us randomly, check in on us. It's just the love that they had for my son and for me and my husband is just amazing. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the way they treated us. It was just so amazing. I feel like I owe them everything. They
Mhm.
did everything they could for him and everything they could for us. And they were super comforting. Even during the hard times, I mean, the one doctor, she would sit there and hold my hand during these meetings and she was just I owe her so much. I mean, they were just all so wonderful
Yeah.
and really gave us a sense of comfort and a sense of you're not alone in this, even though it was the worst, obviously most horrible thing in the world, but
Yeah.
they were super helpful.
Yeah. Have you, as you've gone through your grieving process, what have been just some of the ways that you've found, your own just way of moving forward? You honor him, listening to
Yeah.
those ways that you celebrate him is beautiful. Is there anything else that you personally do for you just as a mom?
Yeah, so my husband and I, we do still go to a grief counselor when we can. We started going right after Blake passed away, and it was actually a counselor with one of his hematologists that he would go to as an outpatient while he was home with us.
Yeah.
Their center, it's just for children, and had a family counselor on staff that was free and available to all families there.
Oh,
And so
that's
we get to see him.
beautiful.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's just like our family now. And so we go to him whenever we can, or whenever we start off like almost every week, and now it's
Sure.
every couple of months or so. And I mean, that's just so helpful for us to talk through things. We have always said that, we will not keep him taboo. We will say his name. His pictures will be up. Um, so like I have a whole like photo album of him. Me and my daughter will sit down and look through it, and she'll point him out in the different pictures. And I think that's helpful for me. I like talking about him. Sometimes it's hard to talk about him, but I definitely enjoy talking about him and remembering him. I asked a friend of mine who um, had lost a brother. It would have been her older brother, kind of a similar situation. He was only 3 months old. And I asked her what she wished her mom would have done. Like, as a sibling, what do you think your mom could have done differently to like talk to you
Mm.
about your brother that you had lost? And because she never met him. And she said, her mom kind of kept things in and kind of shut things down. And so I think that, having that feedback from her helps me to kind of cater my wants for how we talk about Blake in our home, and especially to his sisters. Because I don't want that. And she said that she wishes her mom didn't do that. She wishes her
Yeah.
mom would have talked more about her brother, or had his pictures up in the hallways and things like that.
Yeah.
And I said, so that was really helpful. And we kind of hold on to that as well.
What great resources to have. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
How was your pregnancy with the girls
Mhm.
after experiencing the loss of Blake?
Yeah. Terrifying.
Yeah.
We got pregnant. So we were trying for Blake, and we got very lucky, and we're so blessed that we did not have to try long for Blake. With Elena, our oldest daughter, we got pregnant with her surprisingly only 2 months after Blake passed away. So we
Oh
were not
wow.
trying either. She was a total great surprise. I call her, she is our saving grace. So she just like,
Mm.
she helped us to keep wanting to move forward. And because it's impossible as a parent to lose a child. You don't want to be here. You have horrible thoughts all the time. And
Yeah.
she helped us to move forward for sure. She gave us a good like reason to get up out of bed in the mornings. It was still scary though, because we had planned, if we were to have more children, we were going to do IVF so we can do the PGT, the genetic testing of the embryos prior, to make sure that the
Sure.
embryos were all healthy. Um, and so that was our plan. And we got pregnant with her surprisingly. So then we had to go through um, the amniocentesis test. And
Yeah.
so where they test the baby while she's in my stomach at 16 weeks
Yeah.
old. And that was uncomfortable. And that was scary waiting for those results, but everything came back fine. And so we felt very confident. Of course, there's still like kind of this looming like gray cloud over me throughout the pregnancy, just thinking something bad's gonna happen or whatever. But everything went well. I am blessed in easy pregnancies. I'm blessed in easy labor and deliveries, and so everything went well with her. Then, to like, Lena was only like 5 months along. We found out we are pregnant with Avery, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, Tyler!" I think I threw the stick at him. I'm like, "Look at this!" So all three of my children are 14 months apart to the day. To the day,
Oh
like,
my
not
gosh.
planned. So Blake was December 3rd, Elena is February 3rd, Avery's April 3rd. And to the day, like, total coincidence. And so we found out we were pregnant with Avery, same because the same thing. We knew we wanted another one after Elena, and we were like,
Sure.
IVF for sure this time.
For
And it
sure
just
this time.
yeah, so we didn't. So we did the amniocentesis again. Everything was healthy. Um, she ended up coming 2 weeks early, and so that's why she was born on the 3rd. Her due date wasn't until the 17th, and she was born on the 3rd because I got cholestasis with that pregnancy, and it kinda came out of nowhere, during my 37th week, and so I called them at, like, 37 and no, right on 38 weeks. I called them that morning because I had all these weird symptoms going on. I didn't know what it was, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you've gotta come in. We're inducing you right now." I'm like, "Okay, sure, let's do it." And so that was fine though.
Oh
That was I
man.
she was the quickest delivery for sure. Um,
Sure.
Everything went fine. So, yeah, but that was a little scary in that moment because the only side effect of a cholestasis is harm to the baby, and so that was a little scary, but everything we took care of it in a very nice, quick fashion, and everything ended up being okay.
Yeah. Okay, so for our listeners who don't know, can you explain what coleocentesis is? I can't say
Yeah.
it.
No, that's okay. Cholestasis, it's, and honestly, I'm not 100%, it's something with your liver. So it
Okay.
makes your liver enzymes, become irregular. Mine were doubled what they should have been. And like the
Mm,
symptom I had for that was my hands and feet were so itchy. Like, out of
wow.
nowhere, I could not stop itching myself, and I thought, like this sounds so crazy, I thought, like, I had dry skin for some reason. I went to the store, I bought, like, hand mask, feet mask, I'm like, "I'm
Oh,
gonna give myself a little
sure. Have a
pedicure."
spa day.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but it was so bad that I couldn't sleep at night, so then I
Oh my
start
gosh.
going down, like, the internet rabbit hole, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
"Why are my" like, 38 weeks pregnant, "Why are my hands and feet itching?" Thinking it's some, like, weird tall tale sign of, like, labor's on the way.
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
yeah, and then I
It
see the
was.
liver stuff. Yeah, it was. Then I see the liver stuff, and they're like, "Call your doctor immediately," and so I called the on-call nurse because this was, like, 4 a.m., and I called the on-call doctor, and he's like, yeah, you need to come in as soon as you can." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And so we had to, I packed up my bag and I went in and they did my levels and everything was wacky. So they're like, "Yep, you're staying, we're inducing you." So I had to call my husband because he was home with Elaine. I had to call him and be like,
Sure.
"Okay, get childcare ready, let's go." It's time to do this.
Oh my goodness. So what
Yeah.
were all of those emotions like with so you were grieving, all of a sudden you find out you're pregnant. Then you have a delivery and you have that gray cloud. Then all of a sudden you find out you're pregnant again. You have this joyous moment, but you're still, I mean,
Yeah.
forever will be grieving. It'll just change and look
Yes.
differently. But how
Yes.
has that, and then all of a sudden you have this pregnancy that's ending in fireworks of craziness.
Yeah.
What were those emotions like? How did you handle all of that?
Yeah, it was a lot. It was so hard. I feel like I'm very much like I'm good in the moment at handling
Sure.
those things. But once things started to settle down, like especially whenever we got home with Avery, the postpartum after her was just so rough, so rough. And it was just very like I sought out additional counseling. Like I had to go back to my OB a lot because I was just really struggling postpartum with anxiety and some depression um, and I just think, so much hormone imbalance happened to me in a matter of 28 months with 3 pregnancies, the loss of a child, breastfeeding, pregnant again, breastfeeding again, like so many things. My body
Yeah.
was just up, down, up, down, up, down. And so it was difficult. I mean, I still feel a little bit of like postpartum anxiety and depression now. And I just recently stopped breastfeeding. So I'm like coming down from those hormones. I'm trying to get like my body to just like regulate again and, try to like kind of continue on the grieving process. Cause like you said, that's not going to stop. Um, and so it was a lot. It's a lot to handle, and I am very in tune with myself and in tune with my body, and I'm not afraid to like go seek out the help I need or talk to someone about it. And that really, I think, is an advantage that I have because I do know a lot of people who don't want to do that and don't want to talk about their emotions. They want to bottle it up, and I think that was something I learned with Blake is don't
Mhm.
bottle that up like anything, especially with these 2 other pregnancies. Like you cannot bottle up those emotions. Pregnancy after loss, whether it be infant loss, a stillbirth, miscarriage, pregnancy after loss is so difficult and so scary. And, there's just, you have to be willing to seek out that help and care you need to take care of yourself. And I was not afraid to tell my husband about my feelings and my emotions, or my parents, and I wasn't afraid to call my doctor with them or call my therapist with them. And I mean, I sought help anytime I felt like I needed it, because I want to be like the best version of myself. And every morning I wake up and I think, okay, you've got to do something today that's going to make your children proud. And until I had my other two daughters, it was do something today to make Blake proud. Even some days that was simply rolling out of bed and moving to the couch instead of my bed. Like some days it was
Hey,
so debilitating,
yeah,
and so I try to live by that every single day. And, that was just something that you have to tell yourself, I feel like, to kind of not get through it, because you're never going to get through it or get over it, but something to help you to cope with it.
sure, sure. And just
Yeah.
continue on that path forward.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. What would you, I mean, you've obviously done an amazing job of relying on professionals as far as mental, just mental professionals as you're going through that. You have an amazing support system with your husband and your family. What would you say, especially looking back in those early days and then looking at your life now, what advice would you give to any parents that are going through this grieving process?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I feel like once you become a part of this horrible club, you find more people that are becoming or have been in this horrible club. And so anytime I see someone starting this process or know of someone going through this, I think it's super important to just be there for them. Um, Ask them about their children. Ask them, if it was a miscarriage, ask them, do you know if it was a boy or girl? What would you have named? Like, ask them about their thoughts, their feelings towards it, their aspirations for what they had hoped for. Because I think, me personally, it helps me to talk about, like, whenever we think about Blake, we think about the things we wanted to do with him. We think about, who he would have been and all of these things. And I love it when anyone reaches out to me and just saying, like, I was just thinking about you and Blake today. I was thinking about you, Tyler, and Blake today. I had this pop in my head and it reminded me of him. Like, anything like that is just so meaningful to me. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of people are scared because they don't want to upset the person. And I understand that. And, maybe it does for some people, but for me, it's so helpful. Like, to know that he's not been forgotten, and to know that other people are thinking about who he was, who he would have been. And I mean, I have friends who just randomly will be like, Blake was on my heart today. Blake was on my mind today. I just wanted to tell you. And that goes miles with me. I just appreciate it so much. And, or just the simple, like, everyone, like, whenever you have a baby, everyone's always like, what can I do for you? Can I
Yeah.
come make you dinner? Can I come do your laundry? Can I come hold the baby so you can nap? Like, that was helpful in the grieving process too, because like Tyler and I, we had lives to resume, and I with COVID, it was a little different, but we still had like a home to come home to and take care of, and things to do here. And life doesn't stop for you to grieve your child, unfortunately, as it you feel like it needs to, and it should, but it just doesn't. And so, just those kind little things, to know that you're being thought of and you're being cared for, and we've not forgotten about your son even 3 years later, to still get like a message from one of his nurses or one of his doctors or one of my friends, or just anyone, saying that, we thought about you guys today. Or a lot of people in our community, we have a very small town, know about Blake and his story, and he's referred to as Baby Blake in the community. And we've held fundraising events and stuff, and they'll just be like, there's a brick lane, like little park for
Yeah.
families who have lost children in our town.
Oh,
And
wow.
one of my best friends had us a brick for him there. And so someone else one time, their son was had a brick nearby Blake's, and their son was actually someone I graduated high school with. And
Mm,
she sent me a picture, and he was like, look, he's next to Blake. And it was just like little things like that are just so meaningful, and just saying their names. And I don't know, that's
yeah.
what I like appreciate. Like, just don't let them think that you're they forgot your child. Like, just make them know, let them know that you're aware and that you're thinking of them, and let them talk about their baby.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what were some of your favorite things about Blake when you got to have your special time with him?
Oh my goodness. So he had the cutest little grin and smile. He
Oh,
had a very, very loud cry, but it was always so like sweet still. We called it his little pterodactyl cry. It was very high pitched and loud, but it was super sweet. Um, he was very snuggly. Putting him in all of his cute little clothes was always so fun. Him and I, we
Mhm.
unfortunately spent a lot of time at doctor's offices and stuff, but I
Yeah.
feel so fortunate to have been able to spend all that time with him and always be there for him. But at the doctor's office, he was just like this little charmer with the nurses. Like every nurse just had to, anytime he was there, they're like, we gotta come hold Blake. And so they would hold him, walk him around the office and stuff. And they loved playing with him. Um, yeah, I loved taking care of him. I loved, like, having him in the bassinet next to me all night long, and during the day, playing with him. We have, like, a little seat that he was able to sit up in. We're working on, like, his little head control and stuff, and
Sure.
yeah, and when he was in the hospital, he, was on a ventilator, but he was able to wake up a lot, and look around, and so we would read books to him all the time. Like, they had a
Mhm.
little library. I all day long would go back and forth, get new books, read books to him. We would play and, like, have him track, and then he also loved, like, when they would, like, somehow clean his teeth or clean his mouth, not his teeth, he didn't have teeth.
Sure, like the little gum, the little
Yeah,
gummy
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, anytime they did that, he would just, like, his eyes would, like, roll back in his head, like, "Oh, that feels so good." It was the cute I have the cutest video of him doing it. Um, and then I think my favorite video of him is whenever we were in the hospital, I kept, like, bending down to kiss his nose, and I go, "Mwah," like that, like, really, like, playfully and
Yeah.
audibly, and he would, just give me, like, the cutest little smirk, and, I'll just that's probably one of my favorite memories. The hospital wasn't obviously a fun place, but we
Sure.
tried so hard to make it as nice as possible for him, when it wasn't in a scary moment.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. A mama's boy through and through for
Oh, yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I think so.
So, okay, you now you entered the world of infertility as an egg donor. You you did 6 cycles, absolutely amazing. You're a mama. Unfortunately, you're part of that club that no one wants to be a part of. And I am so grateful that you do share your story about Blake. Tell
Thank
us
you.
what you do now, because you have not left this world.
I know, yeah. No, I'm so grateful. I was actually just telling my husband a couple weeks ago how, like, it's so crazy that my one decision to become an egg donor has led me into a career helping others, like, fulfill their dreams of having children. Like, it's just one decision that led me into this whole new career, and I'm so grateful for it. Um, So currently I work for a company called Progyny, and they administer, like, fertility benefits so that fertility can be more affordable for families trying to seek out whatever fertility care they may need. So it might be IVF, it might be egg donor usage, surrogate usage, IUI treatments, things like that. So
Yeah.
I help members go through that process. I also help, right now, I'm in a role called an escalation specialist. So I help deal with members who maybe aren't happy with something. I can help manage that for them. Yeah, I love it though. I am so grateful for it. I'm just grateful to be in this field. I've learned so much since becoming in this field, from being an egg donor coordinator to now working on a little bit of a higher level with the company I'm with currently. And so I love it. I love seeing the different aspects of the field. I love helping families determine the path that's best for them. I love whenever I get, like, an email from a family, they're like, look at my little baby, my little
Oh,
fertility baby. I'm like, oh, it makes your day. It really does.
yeah, it really does. It really does make your day. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, Holly, I have one final question for you. For anyone that knows me, they know that my true addiction is coffee. And at the timing of this, it is the afternoon. So, we're on cup number 3. Whether it's literally or figuratively, what filled your cup this morning?
This morning, what filled my cup? I think what filled my cup was my daughters, especially my daughter Elena this morning. She is being so sweet with her little sister right now that I was coming back into my kitchen and I caught them on the floor and Elena's just looking at her like this, like right nose to nose with her, and she didn't know I was walking in on them. And they're just playing on the floor, and then she just touches her little cheeks like so gently and softly and says, "Love you, sissy." And I was just like, "Oh my
Oh,
gosh." And she's just
oh my
being
God.
like the cutest little girl with her sister right now and so sweet with her. She's got the biggest heart and her personality is really
Mm.
shining through. And so that like really just like made my day.
Oh, that makes my right now. My girls are 10 and 8, and they love each other, but they sometimes forget.
Of course, of course. I had an older sister who was only a year and a half from me
Oh,
too. So I get it.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's those little moments I like into my videos, and I'm like, see, you really did like each other, I promise.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. We're a little nervous for the day that, that might happen because I'm sure it will, but we'll
It
deal with
will.
it.
Yeah. But then when they have those sweet moments, they're all the more sweeter because you're like, oh man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so cute. It's so cute.
Well, Holly, I seriously just so appreciate you sharing your story as an egg donor, sharing your story as a mama, and hearing more about Blake and,
Thank you.
just what you do now. So thank you so much. Is there anything that our listeners can do? How would you want us to celebrate Blake?
Oh my goodness, that is so sweet. Please just think about us in the upcoming week and a half as his angel anniversary is on its way on April 7th. And if you know someone who's experienced a child loss, infant loss, pregnancy loss, please reach out to them, tell them you're thinking about them. I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you again. I so appreciate you. And just have a wonderful day and give our love to everybody and in your family.
Thank you so much, Whitney. I appreciate it. Have a good
Yeah,
day.
thanks. You too. Bye.
Bye.
You have just finished listening to an episode of Me, You, and Who. To find out more about egg donor and surrogate solutions, go to www.createahappyfamily.com.